Hello and welcome to the new edition of STARCAST from Planet Waves. My name's Eric Francis Coppolino, the host of Planet Waves FM and the author of the Planet Waves horoscope. Today's edition is for Friday, October 1st, 2021. Welcome. There will be an edition of Planet Waves TV to accompany this podcast. And to find that, just go to planetwaves.tv. That'll take you to my YouTube channel, where most of you, or many of you, are listening to this as well. By the way, the homepage of this podcast is planetwaves.net, and then just choose STARCAST. All kinds of great stuff going on there. We have an extraordinary few days coming up, and they are going to come up fast. We begin today, however, on the afternoon of October 1st, a Friday, with Mercury retrograde in late Libra. Mercury is making an opposition to Eris and a square to Pluto. One of the ways you read astrology is not just by looking what sign and house things are in, but which planets are talking to one another. And so Mercury, a local planet associated with all kinds of ordinary things like communications and emails and postcards, is greatly amplified by its exact opposition to Eris, a very slow mover taking 551 years to go around the zodiac, and a square or 90-degree aspect to Pluto, taking 248 years to go around the zodiac. So we have the fastest moving planet making aspects to the two slowest moving planets. These are deep, meaningful, transformational days where you will not want to do the usual thing that humans do, which is to miss the obvious, miss the necessary. With Mercury aspected like this, many people are being pried out of their ordinary consciousness and their prejudices and preconceptions. This is the thing we want. This is what makes spiritual growth and progress possible. It's also directly connected to a confrontation with the truth, which for many people is very difficult, or rather the idea of it is very difficult. And humans really sell themselves short this way by constantly trying to control existence by making up a false version of their own reality, or to stay in their comfort zone. So I would suggest that there's nothing comfortable about this astrology. This astrology is all about opening up the genie bottle and seeing what actually comes out. So that's the position of Mercury. Mercury is still fairly newly retrograde. Today's Friday. The station retrograde of Mercury occurred. Actually, I got it wrong in the last edition. It occurred at 1 a.m. Monday morning. So overnight, this past Sunday to Monday, Eastern Time. And by the way, all times in this podcast are in Eastern Time. Please adapt, meaning New York time. Adapt for your time zone. The moon is in Leo at the moment. The moon in Leo means that it is making aspects to Jupiter and to Saturn in Aquarius. So that's also got a magnifying effect. A little bit later in the weekend, the moon will make an opposition, exact opposition to Jupiter, and that can be given to various forms of exaggeration. But the moon in Leo opposite Jupiter in Aquarius also is a reminder to connect yourself to this necessary question of what is the business of the individual and what is the business of the so-called collective. And when you're contemplating the notion of a collective, the question is, who said that group was a collective? And does it include you for who you really are? That's a real question, and I would propose it's a good one to keep asking. Also, the moon is in a 90-degree or square aspect to the planet of revolutions, rebellions, revolt, and surprises. That would be Uranus in Taurus. Speaking of Uranus and Taurus, this is one of the placements among a good few others that are associated with the instability of the times in which we are living. And this is described by the generally steady, stable, and conventional expression of the sign Taurus, combined with a planet that is associated with things like the electrical revolution, all kinds of inventions, and inventors have a prominent Uranus in the in the configuration. Everything from the light bulb to the first flight of an airplane at Kitty Hawk all have Uranus prominently somewhere in the configuration. The moon is going to make a square to this. It would seem to be overnight, Friday to Saturday, Eastern Time. And so that, while it is a lunar aspect, and they can only do so much, this is an exciting placement, and one that might shock or jar you out of some, again, like fixed concept of who or what you are. The moon is also, even as I speak, in a 90-degree trine to Chiron, and when you get a kind of a soft, gentle aspect between anything and Chiron, that's just a way of saying the most important thing you can do is be open to healing and to resolution. Now, while we're on the subject, both Mars and the Sun are in an opposition to Chiron. That is exact right now. Mars opposite Chiron is exact right now. That is the full expression of warrior energy. There's quite a bit of courage in that aspect. And then over the weekend, the Sun will make an opposition to Chiron. The Sun's at 8 degrees and change right now. Chiron is at 10 degrees and change right now, so that means that opposition will be exact, I would estimate, at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. All right, now looking ahead. The new moon in Libra is on, excuse me for 1 second, well, I open up a calendar, 10/6, Wednesday, 10/6/21, October 6th, Wednesday. So we are rapidly approaching the new moon. The moon and the sun are in a sextile right now. That's 60 degrees, so that tells you straight away that the new moon is 5 degrees away. And lo and behold, it actually is. So that's on Wednesday, the 6th, and it will be exact at, let's get time on that. My charts are written in magic marker, and I didn't 7:05 a.m. on Wednesday the 6th, Eastern Daylight Time. So that new moon takes place basically in a bunch of time zones overnight, Tuesday to Wednesday. This is a very exciting new moon because it's one of two major events in the sign Libra. The new moon is a conjunction of the moon and the sun, which always happens in the same time, and it happens that Mars is right in the mix. So it is a moon-Mars conjunction, a sun-Mars conjunction, all happening at the same time. This makes many other aspects in the chart, but let's focus on the activation of Mars in the sign Libra. This is a full activation of Mars. And the reminder here is to be conscious of what's going on in your relationships, and also to be aware of what is filtering in from the larger, wider public realm as it affects our most intimate partnerships and our most intimate dealings. There's a lot of society telling you what color underwear to wear right now, and maybe people think, well, as long as Biden says to wear green underwear for the good of society, I won't notice that it was the most outrageous thing in the world, that anyone even could tell me anything about my underwear just a year or two ago, but now suddenly I'm willing to do whatever I'm told. Well, the question is why? Why does all of this matter? Why is there so much incursion from this so-called collective realm piling into and in many ways splitting apart many, many facets of the most private realm? It is not a healthy or normal thing to do for all of our relationships to be dictated and to be disrupted. There's an old strategy of warfare which says that when you want to conquer a society, disrupt people's relationships. our entire society is made of relationships. We might think it's made of banks and, phone company or cable service provider and the local cafe and all of that, but all of it comes down to relationships. And so when our relationships are threatened, when our relationships are harmed or split apart or broken or put under stress, and when people turn against one another because they're told to by some outer authority, you can be sure that outer authority is trying to conquer you. Now, you might say, well, that's not true. I don't really believe that. And I'm saying, well, maybe I'm right and maybe I'm wrong. But if I'm right, it's your relationships that are being conquered, not mine, because I'm aware of this strategy. I'm watching it happen. I understand it. I've read about it. It's classic military strategy. When you want to conquer a society, disrupt people's intimate relationships. And so if you find yourself in some kind of debate over something that you saw on television that is splitting apart your relationship with your partner or your brother or your parents or your children, you can be sure that someone is doing this to you. Now, the main event next week takes place on Saturday, the 9th. Really, it's exact from the 8th to the 9th. And I know that's a week away, and I'm not usually working that far ahead in this program, but everything is pointing to this. And this is a triple conjunction of Mercury retrograde, Mars, and the Sun, exact on Saturday, 10/9/21 in the Eastern Time Zone. And this aspect is so interesting, and there is so much to it that I did 6.5 hours, close to 7 hours of video for the 12 signs, and then one general introduction about this aspect, talking about the way in which the wider public life is attempting to dictate and control our private life. The thing is this. The retrograde Mercury is suggesting that there is an important matter from the past that you need to discuss with your with someone in your life. Now, the idea here is not to get hung up or caught up in the past, but rather to address the matter in a gentle and direct way when it comes up. The retrograde of Mercury is talking about some kind of a memory or unresolved matter from the past. Now, the problem here is that the conjunction of Mercury and Mars can be given to jumping to conclusions, thinking a little bit too quickly, and potentially, because of Mercury retrograde, either being wrong or in some way poorly spoken or impolitic. And the connection between the Sun and Libra and Mercury and Mars is saying, do your best to be direct, straightforward, and a bit diplomatic. By diplomatic, I don't mean don't be honest. I mean don't blame. And rather inquire what people feel might be the issue or the situation. Ask them about how they feel or what they think or what they did. All right, this is the first of a series of little podcasts talking about this. For more, I suggest you watch the previews for your sign at planetwaves.tv. Just scroll through those videos. All the signs are there. This autumn reading is how we are currently supporting the entire Planet Waves project. These readings are well worth it. If you have not gotten the discount, there is a discount currently that we are offering. Just drop a note to cs@planetwaves.net. I'll be back sometime later in the weekend with Planet Waves TV, and I am planning to be ready with planetwaves.fm by 10 o'clock p.m. on Friday, the 1st of October, a hot season premiere of our program. Thanks for listening, and stay in touch. Signing off from Kingston, New York, this is Eric Francis.